Hey guys, what's up? So today is the deck profile of the Valiant Carboneddon deck that I used in the last showcase. This deck is very rewarding. I was trying to think of a way to describe the deck because I always say, like, oh, the deck is good, the deck is fun, yada yada, and I didn't want to do that this time, and honestly, the deck is rewarding. That's the best way I can describe it, because you can work your way out of a lot of situations that you should not be able to work yourself out of. Like, I've worked my way out of some fairly interesting fields, I guess I'll say. I'm not sure how many of them are in the showcase because sometimes when that happens, just like a really long duel, I don't want to put them in the showcase, and I haven't really even started putting that thing together yet. But when you work your way out of something that, again, you really shouldn't be able to, like I've seen a very similar deck work its way out of double Felgrand and a Stardust, which is just amazing. And like, I really enjoy that, and part of it comes from the surprise factor, because like a lot of people don't know how to play around this deck. They don't know how to play around certain cards, or they know how to stop one card, but they don't really understand, like, oh, well, this deck can just make another one, and it's just interesting, and it's really fun and good and all that good stuff as usual. A few things first. First off, if you guys are like me, I know that you probably aren't the biggest fan of like watching a 20-minute long deck profile, which like all mine turn out to be. So that's why I kind of skimmed through the cards in the beginning, just for like those people who are just like, okay, I want to see what he was playing because the deck interested me, and now I'll be on my way. But real quick, this deck profile is going back to like my very first deck profile, in which case, or where I'm going to try something different. Like if you're interested in the deck and you want to learn how to play it, I highly suggest you just stick around, stick it out, however long this is going to be, because I think it'll be worth it. You guys will see what I mean when I actually get into the deck profile. Second, I gotta give credit where credit is due. The idea of Valiant Carboneddon, yeah, the Jewels of the Valiant, Carboneddon, and Labradorite, and all that good stuff, isn't my idea. I'll put a link in the description to the video I first saw that gave me the idea, and also throwing in the Psychic and Plant engine. Like, that idea was mine because I liked it, but the engine itself is thanks to YouTuber Tamakachi. He makes these really cool like Malaya turbo builds, and this is basically his Plant and Psychic engine trimmed down a little bit. I did make modifications to it. I put them together, tweaked it here and there, but again, mostly it's their thing. Also, the showcase was supposed to show what the deck can do. It was supposed to show like, oh, it's really cool, it's really good, and all that good stuff. But there are some situations that are just auto loses, so I just want to say these now before, if you're waiting to see like what the deck profile is all about. Anyway, I just want to kind of get this out of the way. If you play against anything that just shuts down special summoning, like if you play against Ophion, if you play against Valiant, if you play against Vanity's Emptiness, anything like that, it's an auto lose situation. You can't get out of that. But things like Midrash you can work around. Things like that prevent you from banishing, you can work around. Even though like most of the deck revolves around banishing, you can work around that, which I think is really cool. And yeah, I just want to give you guys a heads up. Like, don't be discouraged if you ever like come up against that situation, or come up against like an Evil Swarm Ophion, or even like if you come up against like a Heliotrope with Vanity's Emptiness on their field, it's pretty much game over anyway. But again, I won't talk about that for now. Anyway, the deck profile is about to start. I'll be right back. I gotta reorganize this a little bit, and yeah. Okay, so I know this kind of looks all jumbled up, but I promise this is somewhat organized. Basically, it's organized and broken up by engines. So first off, we have the deck's namesake. We have Jewels of the Valiant, which is the Valiant in the name, and Carboneddon, which is Carboneddon in the name. Like I said, they're the namesake, they're the backbone of the deck. Everything kind of revolves around these two. You don't need these two cards to win, but you want to see at least one of them to get your engine going and to get cards going and just to kind of keep you in the game. You want to see at least one, preferably both, but you don't need both to win. Okay, so to start things off, we have 3 Jewels of the Valiant. As you guys can see there, when a monster is banished, when exactly one monster is banished from your graveyard, you can basically replace it with one monster from your deck as long as it has a different attribute. So the main monster that we're going to be banishing, or at least the purpose of this deck, is to banish Carboneddon. And as you guys can see there, the first part of its effect is nice, I guess, but we don't use it for that. The second part reads, you can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon one level 7 or lower dragon-type monster from your hand or deck in face-up defense position. And that is where everything kind of comes together. If you have this guy in your graveyard, this guy on the field, or this card on the field, you banish this card to summon one of these 3 targets. You have 2 Labradorite and 1 Flame Bell, and then you get to replace this. The basic play of the deck is to have this card on the field, Carboneddon on your graveyard. You banish Carboneddon to summon Labradorite Dragon. When you banish Carboneddon, that'll trigger Jewels of the Valiant, so you can dump Level Eater. Level Eater on Labradorite Dragon will make it 6, and go into Underground Arachnid. Now I know Underground Arachnid's level 6, how it can be the boss monster of the deck. It's the boss because really a lot of people don't know how to play around it, because it's basically Armades and Silent Honor's Arc. Like if they had a love child, it's basically this card. So it's a really good card, and a lot of people aren't really prepared for it. So you get this, you get the ball rolling, you get that out, and that's like the basic play that this deck does. So first up we have Carboneddon. When Carboneddon banishes itself, you can put anything that isn't Earth in the graveyard. So as you guys can see, there are a lot of targets. Like you can't put Dandelion, you can't put any Psychics, you can't put Crane or Mathematician. We don't really want any of those in the graveyard. Obviously Dandelion you can put in the graveyard, that's nice. Recover kind of wants to be there, but besides that, you don't really want to do that. Its main targets are Level Eater, Necrogardna, Electromagnetic Turtle. Not really Labradorite. Like if you have a proper setup, you might want to dump Labradorite when you summon an Armageddon Knight, but you don't really want to dump Labradorite off of Jewels of the Valiant. Next up we have 2 Labradorite Dragon and 1 Flamebell Guard. Really these guys are just the targets for Carboneddon. There's not too much to say about them. Next up we have 2 Level Eaters. Now Level Eater, ever since I added Quasar, which was just recently, has been such a clutch card. Because like I said, it's part of the main combo to get out a Underground Arachnid. There are other ways or other combo pieces, I guess, in that main combo that allow you to get out a Mistworm, which Level Eater helps, you know, make so much easier. And it's just an amazing card. It helps you bring out, well, I guess I already said it, Mistworm. It helps you bring out really anything with the right setup. And, you know, obviously Quasar's in here. We only run 2 level 5s, but it's not that uncommon to see, you know, Arachnid become part of the Quasar equation, because level 6 to level 5 is very easy, especially with Level Eater, and you're pretty much only making Arachnid if you have a Level Eater access already. So yeah, it's just a very versatile card. And also one thing I find myself doing a lot is, after the attacks have gone through, I just bring Level Eater back as a defensive wall. Like it's not much, but it is a body on the field. It is a way to sponge up one more attack, and it's just, you know, a good card. Or good in the sense that it has several purposes, and all those purposes like actually are worth something. Next up we have 2 DD Unicorn Knight. This card is really kind of like a double-edged sword. I'm not sure I'm using that right, but this card has, it opens up so many options for you, and it's incredibly versatile, but it will also cost you the game if you don't know how to use it right. So it's definitely something you need to get used to using. As you guys can see right there, it can't be normal summon or set. This card can only be special summon if your opponent controls a monster or monsters, and you control at least one face-up tuner monster. When this card is special summoned this way, you could select one of your remove from play level 3 or lower non-tuner monsters and special summon it. If you use this effect that turn, you cannot normal summon or set. That's why this card will cost you, but everything else about the card is amazing. I mean, the effect of the monster you bring back is negated, but that's not really that important. We're never really banishing like, oh, I'm going to banish Lone Fire, or I'm going to banish something that actually has an effect. You're usually bringing back Carboneddon or Necrogardna for later, or even Dandelion, because I usually banish that for Spore plays. But it's just a really, really good card once you learn how to use it. It definitely cost me some duels early on, and it definitely, like, to this day, because I still play the deck a lot, it's still like, it's a weird card. Like, I'll think of a play that this card is like the centerpiece of, but then I'll be like, oh crap, I can't normal summon or set for the rest of this turn, so my play that I thought of isn't going to work necessarily. But once you like master this card, you know, quote unquote master, it becomes an amazing card. Next up you have the attack stoppers in Necrogardna and Electromagnetic Turtle. I mean, really, that's what they're here for. Obviously, like, everyone knows what these cards are. Annoying as hell to play against, really clutch at times. Necrogardna actually does serve another purpose though. If you can predict what your opponent's going to do, like, there have been times where I'll predict my opponent to go into an Exciter Knight, and I have Jewels of the Valiant on the field. Jewels of the Valiant, like I said, is the backbone of this deck. So if you can see something like that coming, if you can predict something like that, or like a Shadal Dragon being sent to the graveyard, a Traptrix Murmillo being brought back from the graveyard, if you can predict that kind of stuff happening, you can banish Necrogardna before it happens, so then Jewels of the Valiant will trigger later on, and you still get to dump something, you still get to dump one of your combo pieces. So being able to banish it whenever during your opponent's turn is amazing, and I love the card for that. And Electromagnetic Turtle just saves your life. Never mind. Next up you have the Psychic Engine. 2 Serene Psychic Witch, 1 Psychic Commander, 1 Esper Girl, 1 Recover, 3 E-Tellies. I'm not going to explain the E-Tellies, it's the Psychic Engine. It's amazing. Recover, it's a recent addition to the deck. I actually took out the 3rd Serene Psychic Witch for it. Basically, it's just the fact that it's a level 1 tuner and it's recurring that makes it so attractive to me anyway. And I can't tell you how many times that having a level 1 tuner accessible with E-Telly has made the difference. Like, it's stupid. Like, oh, I'm going to make Black Rose, you go to Phoenix Chain it, cool, I'm going to summon Recover, go into Stardust, and then attack over what was ever like bothering me anyway. Because I do make Black Rose really frequently, just because I hate back row, and Black Rose is the easiest way to bait stuff out, but I'll talk more about that later. Next up, you have One Side Commander, One Esper Girl. Really, they're just here for the tuners. They can be summoned off of E-Telly, they can be summoned off of Serene Psychic Witch, and that's really why they're here. And also, the thing is, you have a level 1, a level 2, level 3, I just think that's nice. As for 2 Serene Psychic Witch, which is, like I said, I did have 3, I just replaced the 3rd one for Recover. I would definitely recommend the 3rd, it adds consistency, I feel anyway, it's just that I can't really justify taking anything else out, because everything else here does serve a purpose. Serene Psychic Witch is just kind of nice, and I don't know. As of right now I have 2, I can definitely see myself bumping it up to 3. Because actually, no, I lied. Lone Fire, I'll just jump into the planage right now. It's definitely a card I can see myself putting down to 1. I know it sounds weird, but you only need 1 to work this deck. You only need 1 to work the plan engine. And really, I find myself going Lone Fire into Lone Fire just to get the other copy out of the deck. I never, there's rarely ever an occasion where I'll go Lone Fire into Dandelion, then the second Lone Fire into Spore. It just doesn't happen that way. It's always Lone Fire into Lone Fire so it's out of the deck, and then Lone Fire into whatever. Because really, I found like day 1 or 2 that Lone Fire and a level 3 Earth on the field, however you get it to the field, is a shooting star. That's pretty good. Originally I thought for whatever reason you needed 2 Lone Fire, you only need 1. So Lone Fire obviously is an amazing card. It tribute itself. Like everyone knows Lone Fire does. It's just really good, but I don't really use the second one. 1 Dandelion just because tokens are nice, level 3 Earth is nice, and 1 Spore, a recurring tuner is nice. See Recover. Next up you have the Foolish Barrels of the deck. You have 1 Foolish Barrel, 1 Armageddon Knight, and 3 Mathematicians. I mean, Armageddon Knight is there to dump the level leader, like I said. You know, it is important to have with Labradorite, and really just to have in general. And it's the easiest way to dump it, besides, you know, dumping it with Jewels of the Valiant. You can also dump Necrogardener for defense. And sometimes you will need to dump a Labradorite Dragon, because sometimes you won't have a way of dumping a Carboneddon, or you won't have a Carboneddon in the graveyard, and you'll have a way to bring it back, so it's definitely possible plausible for you to dump a Labrador Dragon. It's not like it's not unheard of. And 3 Mathematicians dumps anything when it's destroyed. You know, you get a draw. It's just an amazing card. Next up we have the Monster Revival, 1 Soul Charge, 2 Swing of Memories, 3 Call the Haunted. Bringing things back is always nice. There's not too much to say about that. And also I guess Crane Crane is also Monster Revival, and here's really just miscellaneous. You have 1 Crane Crane, 1 Rhoda. Crane Crane, bring things back for Malaya, so you know, bring any level 3 Earth back for Malaya. You can bring back Psychic Commander for Barkion, and also any other level 3 you bring back will get back your Leviair, which will bring back your Necrogardener, your Carboneddon, anything you really need at the time, I guess. And Rhoda just, it searches out Deity Unicorn Knight, which you want at least 1 of. It searches out your Armageddon Knight, which you want if you don't have the right setup or the right graveyard setup. And I mean, it can search Necrogardener. I don't know why you would want to, but that's an option, I suppose. Anyway, onto the extra deck. We have 1 Quasar, 1 Shooting Star, 1 Leo, 1 Mistworm, 1 Stardust, 1 Moonlight, 1 Black Rose, 1 Barkion, 2 Underground Arachnid, 1 Hyper Librarian, 1 Armades, 1 Formula Synchron, 1 Leviair, and 1 Malaya. Really, the only thing I feel like I need to talk about are these 2 cards, and actually, no, there are 2 more. First off, Moonlight. Moonlight is an amazing card. I never really gave it the time of day, but it is basically the card you want to see against Shaddolls. Because like I said, Shaddolls, or at least I think I said it in this take, Shaddolls are annoying. Things like Midrash are annoying, but Midrash isn't an auto-lose card. I'm pretty sure I brought that up. There are auto-lose cards. Midrash is not one of them. You can work around Midrash. This is a key part in working around Midrash. So just keep that in mind. Next up, Black Rose. I have like a philosophy or a policy, I guess. Black Rose early and often. When your opponent has a lot of back row, just get rid of it. This is the simplest way. It's relatively easy to get out onto the field, which is always nice. And like really, this deck doesn't, like a lot of the cards don't mind being in the graveyard. I mean, they actually kind of want to be in the graveyard. So just blow everything up and then just kind of go from there next turn. And the other 2 cards I want to talk about were Formula and Malaya. Formula, I really want to find room for another copy. I mean, it's down here for a reason. but I don't know what to take out right now. Everything serves a purpose, like I said earlier. And Malaya, I originally had 2. I dropped it to 1 because I realized that I wasn't really using the plants that often. But I don't know, like people get really scared when they see Malaya because they're in their mind, I guess they think, oh well, he's going to either summon Quasar or something, and he's not. They're usually not completely wrong because, like I said, there is like a 2-card shooting star, and Malaya is part of that combo, but it's really good at wasting cards, which I actually find hilarious. Next up for the side deck, again, these are just cards that I haven't tried, or I want to try, or I have tried, you know, whatever the case is. First up, we have Phantom's Ring of Dragon Souls. This is a new card coming out in Next Challengers. It's basically Call of the Haunted, but technically better depending on the deck, because what this card says, whenever the card brought back by this effect leaves the field, this card gets sent to the graveyard. You know, it gets destroyed. This deck is mainly, you know, is synchro oriented. So most of the things you bring back using Call of the Haunted are going to be used in synchro. So Call of the Haunted is just going to sit there. If like, let's say you bring back a Labradorite or something, then Call of the Haunted is just going to sit there once you synchro with it. This card would leave. The only reason that I'm not playing this card over Call of the Haunted is because Lone Fire. Like obviously Lone Fire is a good card. If I haven't shown my opponent what I'm playing, or let's say I've shown them the Psychic Engine, now I'm showing them the Plant Engine with Lone Fire, and they get scared or they just want Lone Fire to not hit the field and they like Solemn Warning it or something like that, and I have a Call of the Haunted set, I can bring it back and just kind of go on my way and just continue my play. If I have a Phantom's Ring of the Dragon Soul set, it comes back as a Worm type and I can't tribute it. So that's kind of the only reason I don't play it. In other builds or in other decks, I think this card is better, but as of right now, the only, like, Lone Fire, even though I kind of gave it shit before, like, it is important in certain situations. One Star Eater gets over Killer, Apo Clip-Off Killer, whatever it's called. Like, it gets over Killer. Like, obviously, I guess most decks are running like 2 killers or 1 killer, but if they're just running the 1 killer, this card gets over it. And I mean, you still have to worry about like all the other clip-off shenanigans, but you're a little bit closer. One Trag, I think, I don't know, like it's a good card in theory, but I thought about it earlier, and whenever I think of Trag, I think of, okay, I'm going to stop an OTK, or I'm going to stop myself from losing. But if I really need Trag to do that, I'm usually already in a losing position. Like there's rarely a situation with this deck where I'm 1 card away or 1 turn away from winning. It's either, okay, I'm going to win, or, okay, good job, you wasted all my resources, I can't really do anything. I don't really think Trag solves that problem. It is a nice stall card, I suppose, and I'm sure like the level changing ability and even like the card stealing ability would come in handy, because you know you could dump like Necro Gardener or Electromagnetic Turtle to steal something your opponent controls, and obviously they want to be in the graveyard. But I don't know, I just can't justify putting it in there. If I ever drop Rhoda, because I'm thinking about it, I might try Trag, because again, in theory it should work, it's just that I haven't really gotten around to it. Next up, these 3 are kind of together, Gigaplant, Supervise, and pretend M7 is any good rank 6. I just really want to give Lone Fire a purpose by adding in this extra plant type, a good plant type at that. You know, I feel like it should help. Supervise obviously goes along with Gigaplant, and then Ptolemy or any rank 6 would be accessible with Gigaplant, with Labradorite, with Arachnid, with Barkion, all that good stuff. So it's just something I wanted to try out, just haven't gotten around to. Next up, one Dragard. Dragard seems like it makes so much sense in the deck. It was in the original deck that I saw. I want to try it, but I just don't know where to put it. Basically, when you summon this guy, you can summon Labradorite or Flamevell Guard from your graveyard. So Flamevell will give you access to any level 5 you have. Labradorite will give you instant Leo or Trident Dragion. I've always wanted to try this card, but again, I just haven't gotten around to it. I probably will try this card at one point in the future, but I just haven't gotten around to it right now. Trident Dragion, again, kind of goes hand in hand with Dragard. One DD Unicorn Knight, one Serene Psychic Witch, one Malaya. These are just cards that I had in at one point, but I dropped them because they weren't really serving a purpose, I guess. Formula, like I said, I want another one. Rhoda, I don't really know. Like, I guess I could try and fit another one in, but it's on the fence already, so I don't know why I would, actually. Goyo, it's a solid level 6. I just don't have room for it right now. And Beast, I never made it. Like, it wasn't here originally, I just never made it. Okay, so that's been the deck profile. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Again, there should be like a lot of editing going on in this. Obviously I haven't edited it yet because I haven't recorded this, but hopefully you guys enjoy that. Hopefully you learned something about the deck. Hopefully it's been interesting. Hopefully it's been entertaining. That's it for now. I will talk to you guys eventually. Yeah, later guys.